This is a video reply to FROSTBYTEbykarma666. Alright, so I've got some weird stuff to explain to you, but at this point, I think you've probably realized that it's a lot easier to believe for anybody that's had any type of personal experience and understanding of the situation on just how weird it gets. Alright? Because the funny thing is, I know there's no moving forward without transparency to specific people. And I know those specific people are not my family. Alright? So this morning I was making a video reply to Allie from, Allie's End Zone, chilling with Allie and relaxing with Allie. And the funny thing is, if you look at that video, I believe it was at the 13-minute and 37-second point. Alright? Something happened right in front of everyone. Alright? I took a screenshot of it and I was going to explain it, But I know to explain it to Allie, all I'd have to say is, like, hey, you know how you've mentioned the movie The Sixth Man before? Imagine a six-man situation. It's complicated, but she'd probably be like, I'm picking up on that. All right. So at that point, I took a screenshot to go ahead and show. Imagine, I'm literally making a video, right? And the sun ends up going ahead and gleaming on my hand, right? And you end up seeing another hand going ahead over my hand with the, their thumb going over my thumb and the rest of their fingers going over my fingers. And to go ahead and have to explain, because I'm leaning like this, and that's happening from behind. All right, so imagine somebody going to sneak up behind you and wrap their arms around you. All right, so imagine you're making a reply video, and keep in mind, I got people from the spiritual community that are watching, and at this point, quite a few of them have realized that I'm not faking the funk, as referring to it. But how do you go ahead and explain that literally while you're making a video, all right? You literally got a spirit. You know whose spirit it is, all right? Going ahead, grabbing up behind you, while at the same time teasing the fuck out of you, being like, "Oh, you got a little crush. You going and trying to express yourself. How cute. You need me to help you relax." And keep in mind, energy is a language, as difficult as that is to explain. And I'm just literally like, all right, first off, can you stop being cringy as fuck? Like, regardless, it's one of those circumstances like being able to appreciate somebody's mind, all right? So I'm just here trying to go ahead and say, like, hey, like, I like how you think. Like, I want you to know, like, the way you're able to express yourself, the way your mind operates, your power of observation, like, that shit has me pulled in. So literally, you got a video, people seeing the sun glaring off of my energy, and that it's not just my energy, it's also the energy of the entity. All right. So people are seeing this, and how difficult it is to be able to explain without end up going ahead and facing the risk of getting shoved in a fucking psych ward. Funny thing is, I went and I spoke to somebody today about this from that field, career field. All right. And I asked them, I'm like, hey, do you believe in this? Like, and they were like, not really. I'm like, if I were to go ahead and show you video evidence, would you be open minded? Yeah. I send it. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get off the phone with you, send it, and then call me back after you watch it and see it. So I did that. And afterwards, they're like, what the H? Like, so I just kind of shattered somebody's reality. Like, they are getting to learn, like, yeah, no, you're not a head case, but there is so much more to life than I even thought there was. And to be blunt, they had thought that I was delusional. Now, they're realizing it's a lot more complex than it could even start to begin to break down, you know? There's some things that I have to do that are not even on my behalf. They are things that some unfinished business from some people. So when people go ahead and try to be like, oh, I'm going to expose you for faking it and everything, it's like, I wish that I could live in the reality that you live in, where you think that I'm faking this whole situation, or that I'm trying to run some game or a scammer or something. Because when I say this is what I do, I mean, I don't have any other fucking option. Like, I didn't choose to be in this position, and you wish that you were in this position. Trust me, you don't. It is complicated as fuck. Like, the amount of times people have ended up going ahead and thinking that I'm schizophrenic or some shit, and now being able to get video and photographic evidence, it's like, oh shit, no, not a head case, not schizophrenic, just, things that technically fall under the classified category in the government's files. Yeah. That's why the cover story is, I'm a fucking tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. But you notice that I'm a free, tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, and not a institutionalized wearing the hug jacket tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. Yeah. When there's literally a cop in a local jurisdiction that has seen you, come back from the fucking dead, at that point, that leaves people with more questions than answers. So, some things are better left off the record. So, I don't even know how to be able to start breaking this down, Ultimately, I don't run from my calling. I'm head first right into it, Because to be blunt, if I'm able to see it through, I might just not have to go ahead and worry about my blood sugar constantly plummeting and, actually being able to live a somewhat sustainable, normal life. So, that's something in it for me, as well as financial security. So, that'll be nice, to be able to actually not get criticized for having wants just as much as having needs. And I mean, the factor that, I end up talking about that like it's a fucking pipe dream. When meantime, for anybody else, it's like, wait, you don't get the freedom to do what you want with your finances. It's like, no. Basically, my finances have been getting drained by numerous people behind my back by defrauding me, misappropriation of funds. So ultimately, I've ended up throughout the fucking years supporting 12 people, I think it is, without my consent. So yeah, I'd like to, financially not get, abused. Because, there are things that I'd like that ultimately for other people seem like a necessity, just a normalcy, you know? First off, house that, doesn't get taken over by relatives. And that, I get to choose the location of where I live. Second, new car. Car that I don't have to try to bring back from the fucking dead. I didn't learn how to work on and fix a car by choice. It was quite literally by having to get it done, knowing that somebody that was relying on me had legal obligations that they had to tend to. So, by association, I had to go ahead and learn the skills to be able to help handle that, because they weren't going to be able to afford to be able to have that handled unless, just a circumstance of get the parts, and apparently I'm doing free labor yet again. Good skill to know, don't get me wrong. I mean, ultimately I know it'll do me a great service in the future. But a car that I'd be able to right off the lot, not have to worry about what the mechanical issues are. That I don't have to worry about what the person before me tried basically keeping quiet about what was going to send that car to potentially to the junkyard, and them trying to go ahead and make a little bit of money back towards their new vehicle, while leaving me with the headache of whatever the fucking problem was that they wanted to keep me blinded to when buying the car. I mean, sound like pipe dreams, But, yeah. The factor of, financially, people trying to fucking price gouge the fuck out of me at every step. Try to be like, nah, you don't get to move forward unless you move forward in the way that we want you to. And it's like, y'all are quite literally committing fucking crimes. Like, I mean, you do realize you're not slighting me. You're just causing yourself a problem, right? And if you think that I'm gonna go ahead and bite my fucking tongue on this, no, you're fucking kidding yourself. Like, I'm gonna let you end up where the fuck you earned to go. And it's gonna make my life easier. So, why the fuck I'm gonna go ahead and, take the hit? Well, you get away with all your fuck shit, and then make it seem like, how dare I call you out on your fucking illegalities? That one still doesn't make sense to me on how that's a fucking slight to me, I mean, it's nice to not have to look over my shoulder. But my point on this whole thing is, it is so complicated to be able to explain, or explain like, hey, when it comes down to telekinetic particle manipulation, I'm kind of world's top expert. There is no textbooks on this. I'm quite literally the pioneer in the specific topic. And before the coma, there probably would have been no way for me to end up in this position. So, gift and a curse. But, yeah. The amount of people that want to just go ahead and have you painted out like a fucking mental patient until they go ahead and see video documentation and, photographic evidence. And then it's like, oh, So you weren't crazy, you're just a freak of nature. Definitively, yes. Oh, so you weren't just acting like a weirdo? Nope. Ultimately, I had no choice in being weird as fuck. So, I'ma just run with it. And then I end up getting looked at by people like I got 5 heads. And it's like, alright, which one of them are you, getting the fucking stink eye from? Because, I'm still a human being. But, apparently both things cannot be true. It's... When I say it's complicated, I mean it's real complicated. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'd love to be able to get somebody on video chat and just fucking just vent about it and just be like, hey, so this is everything you don't know. This is a whole different world. And people act like they want to be a part of it until they get to learn how fucking terrifying it really is. And then to basically be at the fucking tip of the spear, the fucking top of the totem, it's not even a position that I wanted to end up in. Ultimately, the only reason that I ended up in that position was because of my capability for compassion and understanding. That a lot of people in the spiritual community that tend to abuse their abilities, they crave and desire that power, not understanding it is a responsibility. It is a responsibility that is going to carry with me until I die. When I die, no, you're not going to get my abilities. You're literally just going to go ahead and have to worry about a fucking attempted murder charge. And, literally the one person who would have been capable of believing you, now being dead. So you kind of buried yourself with that one. But, yeah, keep using that brain power. And let it just roll with it. What other brilliant ideas do you have, Sherlock? But then I get called a cynical prick. I appreciate you actually being willing to hear this out. If you do hear this out, and if you chose not to hear it out, I understand. I'm long-winded. I'm already at almost 18 minutes. But I wanted to use the video to say, like, hey, if you ever want to reach out and everything, feel free. I know there are things that you've probably got answers on, but at the same time, you've got your questions, rightfully so. And I'm willing to help bring some clarity and levity to the situation. But I understand going forward for this next chapter, even understanding how I don't work well with others, I'm not going to be able for the next part to do it alone. And that's the hardest part, considering that usually I'm the one who ends up having to pull weight when having to work together with somebody, and they basically end up going and grabbing up whatever credit, wanting to be a glory hog. And it's like, you know what? I'm gonna let you go ahead and take that pedestal and everything. You go right ahead. But when you fall flat on your face because you're not able to deliver, well, quite literally, for me, it's not a effort. It's a capability that is more natural to me than breathing. You go ahead. You got this. You got this. I'll be at the sidelines being a cheerleader. But when you trip, I'ma laugh. Not because of the fact you're being a cynical prick. Because of the fact that I tried preventing you from ending up falling flat on your face, and you just shoved me away with your grandiose desires and expectations as far as outcome goes, well, not being able to tangibly deliver. Well, the person that could tangibly deliver is literally at the side like, all right, how much more of a mess did you make the situation? And how so? So that way I will understand where I have to start cleaning up behind you. But apparently, if I get upset about it, oh, anger issues. Oh, temper. Oh, not getting paid extra for cleaning up the fuck shit that could have been avoided if people didn't want to be arrogant as fuck. But, yeah. Sorry for the tangent. Like I said, willing for total transparency. Reach out to me if you'd like to. I'm genuinely giving the invitation, no ulterior motives. Literally just saying, like, hey, what I get in exchange is to be able to vent to somebody without being treated like I'm a fucking mental patient. That has a value in itself.